Hello and welcome to our live news updates. I am Olugbenga George. First, I bring you the headlines. Court stops DSS, others from arresting INEC chairman. Daura Kingdom honors sports minister. Pope Francis leads Catholic in bidding farewell to ex-Pope Benedict. And in sports, FIFA's Infantino shows support for Umtiti Banda.
Live TV.
Now the news in detail. A federal high court in Agarki has stopped the Department of State Services, DSS, from arresting the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, over allegations bordering on false assets declaration. The presiding judge, M.A. Hassan, refused on Wednesday, January 4, the application seeking that Mahmoud be arrested as he rejected 14 other reliefs brought by the claimants. Justice Hassan held that Mahmoud's asset declaration was lawful, valid, and in compliance with the law, and thereby blocked the DSS, the Nigerian Police Force, and the Code of Conduct Bureau from arresting him. The ruling followed an originating summons marked FCT HCGAR CV 47/2022 by Somadina Uzo Abaka against the Attorney General of the Federation and the INEC chairman. The plaintiff is seeking, among others, an order of mandatory injunction directing and compelling the INEC chairman to recuse, excuse, and exclude himself or step down as the chairman of INEC pending investigation and consideration of the various allegations against him by the various law enforcement agencies. He also sought an order of court stopping Mahmoud from holding or assuming any public office for 10 years. In his response to the allegations, the INEC chairman gave the court several exhibits to show the sources of money for the purchase of the properties that the plaintiff alleged he had acquired illegally, and insisted that his assets declaration was validly made. The same court had on December 29, 2022, restrained the DSS from arresting and detaining the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, on allegations bordering on terrorism financing and economic crimes. Justice Hassan had extended the restraining order to the Inspector General of Police, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, and the CBN, who were listed as respondents. The order followed an ex parte application marked FHC ABJCS 2255-2022, brought by the DSS seeking to arrest the Emefiele over the allegations. And now Nigeria's Minister for Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare, has been turbaned as the King of Games by the Daura Emirate Council, led by His Royal Highness Alhaji Dr. Umar Farouk Umar CON, the Emir of Daura Kingdom. The turbaning ceremony, which took place on 22nd day of December 2022, saw friends and well-wishers of the Honorable Minister troop to President Buhari's hometown, Daura, in Katsina State, in celebration of the worthy achievements. Recall that the minister had in November 2020 been installed as the Agbara King of Ogbomoso land in his hometown in the southern part of Oyo State, in recognition of his contribution to the development of grassroots people across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Here's a snippet of the event as captured by our live TV.
congratulate him, and I also want him to see this honor as a challenge to do more. I wish him and his family the best of luck.
But we are selling English means all sorts of sports, and he is the federal minister of sports, so it's quite appropriate. And also because since he became minister of sports, he has done very well.
He has played a very active role, and as he was doing this, in his own humble and simple way, I'm sure he never thought people were watching.
Well, it's the reward for selflessness, and it's the fact that whatever he does is resonating at local levels. People are taking notice, and he's making impact, and that is why. And I'm sure maybe if we watch the space before his tenure is up, there might be 1 or 2 more titles coming. So he deserves it.
And he has demonstrated leadership at all times, and he's a go-getter.
You only give honor to the person who deserves it. And if he has been given the Agbakni of Ogbomoso, that is no main title. There's a reason he was given the Agbakni of Ogbomoso. It means he can lead us to battle. And now he has been given the king of sports now. So all these titles are very significant. And that's to tell you that there's something about the man that speaks excellence, that speaks progress, that speaks productivity, and that speaks forward thinking. And everyone wants to get onto that, but we are very proud of him.
I'd like to say congratulations, and this award is just a boost to tell you to do more, work hard, and we're all cheering for you and rooting for you.
This is one more moment in which I'm very proud to be a Nigerian.
Now, moving on to the foreign scene, Pope Francis presided at the funeral of former Pope Benedict earlier this morning, delivering a homily comparing his predecessor to Jesus before tens of thousands of mourners in St. Peter's Square. To the sound of the tolling bells, 12 pallbearers had carried the wooden coffin holding Benedict's remains out of St. Peter's Basilica and placed it on the ground before the largest church in Christendom. Applause broke out across the vast cobbled esplanade, which was shrouded in mist in a sign of respect for Benedict, a hero to Roman Catholic conservatives who shocked the world by resigning nearly a decade ago. Francis arrived in the square in a wheelchair, troubled by a bad knee. The pontiff sat in a chair looking down on the coffin, slightly hunched and glum-faced as choir sung in Latin. In his homily, read from the same spot, Francis used more than a dozen biblical references and church writings in which he appeared to compare Benedict to Jesus, including his last word before he died on the cross: "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." Francis also referred to Benedict indirectly in paraphrases of other biblical references to Jesus, including love means being ready to suffer, and that the congregation was commending our brother into the hands of the Father. Also, referring to Benedict during the Mass concelebrated by 125 cardinals, 200 bishops, and about 3,700 priests, Francis spoke of wisdom, tenderness, and devotion that he bestowed upon us over the years. Even though Benedict largely avoided public appearances in subsequent years, he remained a standard bearer for Catholic conservatives who felt alienated by reforms ushered in by Francis, including cracking down on the old Latin Mass. At his request, Benedict will be buried later on Thursday in the underground Vatican grottos in the niche where the first Pope John, the 23rd, and then John Paul II were interred before their remains were transferred to more prominent places in the Basilica above. And now to sport. FIFA's president Gianni Infantino called on fans to shut up all racist after Leicester defender Samuel Umtiti and teammate Lamek Banda were subjected to racial abusing during their home game against Lazio on Wednesday. Italian newspaper Gazzetta dello Sport reported the match was paused for several minutes while an announcement was made in the stadium calling for chants to be stopped. Home fans chanted Umtiti's name to drown out the abuse, and Lecce president Saverio Sticci Damani said the French World Cup winner, who is on loan from Barcelona, had asked for the game to resume. Lecce came from behind to win the Serie A game 2-1, with Frenchman Umtiti leaving the pitch in tears. racist insults were drowned out by choruses of encouragement toward our champion, Leslie said in a statement. Umtiti posted on a message on Instagram saying, "Only football, fun, joy. The rest doesn't count." Infantino showed his support for Umtiti and Zambian Banda in a social media post, which is quoted, "Solidarity with Samuel Umtiti and Lamek Banda. Let's shout it loud and clear. No to racism," he wrote. He wrote as a caption to photos of Umtiti and Banda. And that's all on News Updates. I'm Olubinga George.